Hey, what's up, guys? What's up, Howard? Hope you had a good weekend. Welcome back. Dr. Oz here, and tonight we are talking about the Hooktooth Shark, Chaenogaleus macrostoma. This is going to be a really cool species. I mean, I say that for every species, but I'm especially excited for this because this is a cousin of the Snaggletooth Sharks, and it's also part of the weasel shark family, Hemigaliidae. This is a really cool family it's almost like an intermediate between smoothhounds and requiem sharks, where it has some of the more robust, like the sharper dorsal fins and kind of more of the robust features of requiem sharks, but still carries that slender body form of smoothhounds. So I'm excited to dive into it. And if you have any fun weekend notes, please let me know in the comments. Let me see if I can get this view a little bit smaller so we can get a full picture of what seems to be maybe our only video for the Hooktooth Shark. But here we go. So this is Chaenogaleus macrostoma. Whoops, sorry. It's an Indo-Pacific species. And we have a couple photographs of it, a couple of really cool pieces of research, including jaw set research. And unfortunately, this is the only video I could find, which is like a kind of like a montage of photographs of the species. But we'll be able to look at other material in more detail later. And yeah, this is going to be probably on loop. So probably a better estimate of how this animal moves in life would be checking out its cousin, the Snaggletooth Shark. So we do have a little bit of Snaggletooth Shark footage. So this is another kind of weasel shark. This one is Hemipristis. Well, I'm sorry. Or actually, no, is this Hemipristis a different species? Hemipristis elongatus, sorry. Hemipristis Sarah is the fossil species, my apologies. So, alright. Turn the music up. So, like the Snaggletooth Shark, the Hooktooth Shark lives in Indo-Pacific waters, and I believe it is also a tropical species, so a coral reef dwelling species. But this is really cool to see a close cousin, the Snaggletooth Shark. And you can see a little bit of like what I mentioned earlier about just kind of like the sharper falcate dorsal and pectoral fins. And it's kind of cool to see that this animal, this particular individual, is cruising mid-water column, conserving energy, probably looking around, potentially for prey items, but I think this is not really hunting behavior. This is kind of more cruising behavior. But we saw this, one of the earliest streams that we ever had actually had this footage of the Snaggletooth Shark. And here's a good view of it up close. That's pretty awesome, actually. What's kind of fun is like this is, I think I mentioned this last on the Snaggletooth Shark stream too, but it's kind of cool that this is a carcharodontiform, but he has, or she has, I should say, a sand tiger shark looking face, just kind of more of like that bulbous conical snout. It's almost like a sand tiger shark snout on a carcharodontiform body. So pretty cool, very unique looking shark. Oops, sorry. Oh, Howard, my favorite video is so graceful. Agreed. Yeah, these sharks are super cool. I do really do like the kind of like the elongated look, like the slender, graceful look, but you still have some of that kind of like that power of the requiem sharks. Especially, it's kind of cool that the shark is more of a piscivorous kind of species. Oh, this is interesting. They're diving with rebreathers in the Red Sea. Let me see. I think there's some clips of the divers at the beginning. Let's see. So rebreathers are interesting. I've heard that, working properly, they can be really great for scuba diving. They extend your time, your bottom time, by a lot. Also, that's actually wild to see. 101 meters. That is extremely deep. So that's actually For a scuba diver, that's actually extremely deep. That is beyond advanced level diving. Because like for me, I'm qualified to do 18 meters. So 101 meters, I can't even imagine how that works. Because that is about, let me see, 300 feet. If I'm doing my math right, it's like 330 feet. So, yeah, that's actually really wild. With rebreathers, I've heard they, you know, can work well, but they're not in themselves dangerous. But it's kind of like the risk factor is a lot higher because if the circulation, like if I remember correctly, how it works is that you're inhaling the oxygen and then you're exhaling carbon dioxide, and the rebreather kind of scrubs the air so that when you exhale, it will split the oxygen from the carbon dioxide so that you have a continual oxygen supply. So in theory, it sounds really cool, and it sounds like, that's a great way to extend your bottom time. But in practice, if there's something that goes wrong with the machinery, you can risk carbon monoxide poisoning. And to do that at such a deep depth is extremely dangerous. I believe the late, is it Rob Stewart, is the shark conservationist who had a rebreathing accident. That was really sad, a really tragic kind of freak accident where he was able to surface correctly, but I think it was symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning from the rebreather that ultimately led to him passing away. So it's a very tricky technology. So I think some of the divers earlier in this clip had extra tanks too. So a combination of going to those depths. So, but it's really great to be able to enter this zone because some sharks, some carcharodontiform sharks, they do live in this odd spot where they're not quite at the surface. They're beyond normal diving range, but they're also not really entering like the twilight zone, or they're kind of in this weird like zone that is deep water, but not too deep. So yeah. Oh, Howard, yes, no bubbles. So absolutely, that's a great comment because a lot of sharks don't like the bubbles from scuba divers. So it's something that deters them. Hammerhead sharks in particular, and I think great hammerheads don't really like the noise of the bubbles. Kind of the quietness of the rebreathers allows divers to approach more closely. So that's another advantage that they do have. So that's a really good point. Thank you for bringing that up. So. Alright, so we'll kind of take a look at this clip. There's one more piece of footage review, and then we'll kind of dive into the Snaggletooth Shark's biology, or sorry, the Hooktooth Shark's biology. Also, what an awesome name. I'm excited to actually look at the dentition of the Hooktooth Shark, and hopefully we'll get to be able to see some comparisons with the Snaggletooth Shark. Because Snaggletooth Shark, like Hemipristis, they have like the very large cusplets on the teeth, so they have these like really awesome looking serrated teeth, and probably some of the most exaggerated serrations in the world of sharks. So, but yeah, beautiful animal. Let's take a look at this next piece of footage. So this may also be a Snaggletooth Shark. It's not 100% determined, but you can see some or make some observations. You have the high dorsal fin, large pectoral fins, all very falcate shaped, so very sickle shaped. So that potentially is an indicator of a Snaggletooth Shark. Okay, and then one more time. Very cool. I kind of love this image of like this image of a mysterious shark at depth. It's just really cool. So let's dive into Chaenogaleus macrostoma, the hooktooth shark. We have a couple general overviews of the species. It's hard to pick one. This one might actually work. This is a kind of a new website, the Macau Biodiversity website. So, but it looks like it's kind of drawing from, let's see, the 1984 species catalog from FAO by Compagno. So this is actually the basis for sharks of the world. So let's take a look. So here is what looks to be a smaller individual of a hooktooth shark. Immediately you can see a beautiful coloration pattern of these like dark blotchy, or this dark shadowy first dorsal fin, beautiful dark stripe on the pelvic fins, and then this awesome dark band on the lower caudal fin and the upper caudal fin tip. So another couple other things to see or immediately notice: very large eyes. The two dorsal fins are very falcate shaped, and the pectoral fin. The pectoral fins are also falcate shaped. Here is an illustration of a male individual. So not too much to glean from this, other than it is interesting to see that the gill slits are proportionally very large relative to the body size. And then also there is a precaudal pit, which depending on the species can be an interesting feature that may help with caudal thrust a little bit. Large eyes, still that slender body, but the fins are a little bit more compact, slightly more compact than hound shark fins. And then here's a cool shot of the teeth. And in the uppers you can actually see, let's see if I can zoom in. There we go. Alright, so the uppers you can actually see this broad, really nice triangular shape that's kind of curving backwards, so to prevent fish from escaping. So it's really cool. Okay. I'm going to read the description. Here we go. So the formal description for this: the body of the shark is bronzy gray above, white below when fresh, fading to grayish or grayish brown in preservation. Dorsal fins often with dusky or black tips. Can grow up to a length of 100 centimeters, so kind of a smaller shark. Inhabits in the continental and insular shelves. Preys on small fishes, cephalopods like squid and octopus, and crustaceans. Used for human consumption. So not a lot of notes on that. We'll take a look one more time at the teeth. Oh, interesting. For the, pretty sure that's a hemipristis for the video. And then I've been a little under the weather, but I'll provide a drawing of the hooktooth shark in the near future. No worries. That's actually really cool. So thank you. Let me start that comment. Yeah, if any drawing at any time is always welcome. So, yeah, love to see it. That'd be awesome. And I'm really excited because I know Chaenogaleus is one of your absolute favorite families. So I'm super excited to see what you come up with for the hooktooth shark. So that's going to be really cool, Howard. So thank you. All right. So this is great. Here is an overview of the hooktooth shark's teeth, and this is how it gets its name. So you can see like the multiple large cusplets here. So you have the crowning cusplet at the top, and then these other serrations kind of in the back edge of the tooth. So that looks really, really cool how big they are. There's no other shark, I mean, like outside of this family. Oh, I'm sorry. There you go. There you go. All right. So outside of this family, there's really no other shark that kind of has such... I mean, now that I think about it, I guess you can make an argument that the six-gill sharks, the cow sharks, the Hooksanthidae, they do have pretty extreme-looking teeth themselves. So let's see if I can show you what that looks like. So technically, this is a tooth where there are multiple cusplets here. So a single tooth can have multiple little cusps that create like a really nasty-looking knife-like blade. So that is true, but I feel like as far as like something that looks like a really extreme classic shark tooth, if you will, you can't really beat this family, Chaenogaleus, the weasel sharks. So the hooktooth shark has very strong cusplets here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then very sharp needly teeth on the lower jaw. So, let's see. How the dentition is similar to hemipristis, but less completely serrated. Interesting. Oh, this is cool. Hemipristis sera. So the fossil hemipristis fed on sirenians. So that's actually really cool. These are like manatees and dugongs. So, and fossil. If correct me if I'm wrong, I think the fossil hemipristis is pretty large. Whereas the Hooktooth Shark is kind of on the smaller side, so I'm curious to learn more about its diet. Here we go. Oh, and actually, here is a nice. This is great. Here is a nice overview of the entire family for Hemigaliidae. So let's check this out. I'm just taking a sip. I made like a little. I probably shouldn't be doing this, but make a little latte for tonight. So. Okay. So, Chaenogaleus. So, Chaeno is from the Greek for yawn or gape, referring to rictus as long as wide. Interesting. Galeus from Galeos, which means weasel, used by Aristotle for the name of a small shark or dogfish, perhaps alluding to the pointed snouts, swift movements, and a rapacious feeding behavior of smaller predatory sharks. But this, in this case, probably an allusion to Hemigaleus, the original genus of Chaenogaleus macrostoma. Interesting. So this shark used to be classified as Hemigaleus, and then they reorganized it as Chaenogaleus, so which means gaping weasel shark. So it's kind of fun that a lot of the sharks in the Carcharodon forms they kind of have this funny, and I guess squall forms too. There's this kind of funny mammalian naming convention where you have the hound sharks, the dogfish, the weasel sharks. Like, it's just kind of funny how that connection works, and it really comes from, like, at least for these sharks, like, it kind of comes from their more slender movements. But for the hound sharks and dogfish, it really comes from their habit of grouping together in these large schools, and almost reminiscent of packs of like hunting dogs, or like packs of hounds. So it's kind of cool. It's interesting, the naming convention, how they're related. So yeah. Whoa, Howard, 20 feet plus for Hemiprincess Sarah. That's huge. That's amazing. That's actually the size of a great white. That's wild. As far as serrations, the only more coarsely serrated tooth belong to Paleocarcharodon orientalis, also a favorite. Ooh, let me pull that up. Actually, I'm kind of curious. Oh, right. That's super cool. So it's kind of funny. Let's go into Wikipedia is probably a good little starting point, because I have, as you know, I have the Carcocles inguinstidens teeth, and it's kind of funny at first glimpse. They look somewhat similar, but you can immediately tell some very important distinctions, because the Carcocles, or I guess Otodus inguinstidens teeth, they also have like the main crown with the two side cusplets, but the morphology is very different. Whereas here, you've got these very strong serrations of Paleocarcharodon, which is a true white shark, and then Otodus or Carcocles is a megatooth shark, and those are actually, as we talked about over multiple times on the stream, those are two very different sharks. So it's really cool. Paleocarcharodon, also known as the pygmy white shark, is a genus of shark within the family Otodontidae. Oh, so is it the same family as megatooth sharks? Let's see. It is. Okay, so Paleocarcharodon and Otodus seem to be in the same family. And Otodus is like Megalodon, so interesting. Excuse me. That is really cool. Let's see. Oh, what did it eat? Yes. Let's see. Well, based on the size and based on serrations, you could safely assume that this was probably a hunter of marine mammals. Oh, wait a minute. Size compared to the human, that cannot be correct. No, that's got to be a much bigger shark. I think this is an error. Yeah, because usually, okay, so the teeth, it's 1.2 to 2.4 inches. I think the rule of thumb is it every inch is like 10 feet for a shark? Every inch of a tooth translates to 10 feet in body size. So let's see, shark tooth to size, body size ratio. Okay. Depends on the species. multiply by 8, so okay. So maybe this is like an 8-foot to 16-foot shark is what I'm kind of getting out of this, roughly. So, hey Roy, welcome back. Hey Bibia, welcome back. Oh, thank you. Oh my gosh. So, let's see. Mammals, reptiles, just roughly. Busy eating and stuff. Hopefully I can join you all soon. Oh, thank you, Bibia. Awesome. So, yeah, we were just talking about Paleocarchodon, which is the pygmy white shark. And we were kind of curious about this versus... we were talking about teeth with a lot of serrations. So, we were looking at the Hooktooth Shark. Oh, excuse me. Which has a tooth with all these serrations right here. And here's Paleocarchodon, which is a completely different shark, completely different order. But we were just kind of going off on a fun tangent with that. So, and we were curious about what this shark ate. So, based on the strong serrations, usually that kind of tooth type, like a shark with strong serrated teeth, probably ate marine mammals. And actually, what's interesting is if we look at Hemipristocera, the fossil Snaggletooth Shark. These are really strong serrations. These are some of the most famous and exciting fossil teeth. And Howard made a really good point that this shark preyed upon sirenians. So these are like manatees and dugongs. So, sorry. Let me get a better view of that. So these are some really cool looking Hemipristocera teeth. So usually, again, the strong serrations relate to marine mammal predation. It depends. If it's a large tooth with strong serrations, it's probably a shark that goes after like seals, dolphins, maybe small whales, or in the case of like, I guess bucking that convention, like the megatooth sharks don't typically have strong serrations, but for Hemipristis and like Carchodon and Paleocarchodon, like the Snaggletooth sharks and the white sharks and their ancestors. Usually translates to marine mammal predation. So, and Howard, yes, those are upper teeth. Good call on that, because I think if I remember correctly, the lower teeth are more needle-like, right? Make sure I get that. Yeah, there we go. So here's Hemipristocera tooth morphology. You can see such a diversity here. So the upper teeth are these broad, beautiful, highly serrated blades, and then the lower teeth are more like stabbing teeth. So. All right. So going back to tonight's species, the Hooktooth Shark, and again, here's a picture of a Hooktooth Shark's tooth. So this is like a cousin of the Snaggletooth Shark, but just on a much smaller scale. We're going to learn more about the species. So Chaenogaleus macrostoma. All right. So the name comes from large mouth, from macros, large or long, and stoma means mouth, referring to its long, greatly arched mouth compared with Hemigaleus microstoma. It's presumed congenital at the time. So, and here we go. This is kind of a nice little illustration of this shark's mouth and teeth. Okay. All right. And then for comparison, here's some other weasel sharks. This family, Hemigaliidae, has Hemigaleus, Hemipristis. So this is Hemipristis elongata is the modern Hemipristis species. The one with the teeth that we were looking at was Hemipristocera. That was the fossil species. Paragaleus is another kind of weasel shark. It looks like that's it. So we've got how many species? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 species of Hemigaliidae. So awesome. Okay. So here is a jaw set, and I think this study compared some of these species. Okay. Okay, so here we go. So I think the study was showing kind of how if you did a cross section of the rows of teeth, you can see how they develop. So let's zoom in on that. And because it has a really cool illustration of tonight's species. So here we go. This top row is Chaenogaleus macrostoma. This is the Hooktooth Shark, and this is a really cool cross section, like an X-ray, of how Hooktooth Shark teeth develop. So, let's see. And this is actually a really good. Diagram of the orientation of teeth, and this applies to all sharks. So, dorsal is the top, kind of like the dorsal fin. Ventral is the bottom, kind of like the belly. So that's actually really good. That's a pretty classic orientation for all fish species. This terminology is for the mouth specifically. So labial, kind of like lips. So that's in the forward edge of the mouth. And then lingual, kind of like language, is the back end of the mouth. So lingual, like language, like the back of your throat, emitting sounds. Labial, like lips, like the front of the mouth. That's a nice little kind of cheat for like remembering the orientation of teeth in a shark's jaw. So labial front, lingual back, dorsal top, ventral bottom. So, and with that, you can kind of see the orientation of this kind of cross section of the jaw set here too, where you can see the forward teeth right here, and you can see how protruding they are. Again, I mentioned that these sharks, they kind of look like sand tiger sharks a little bit as far as like their just their general appearance, but here you can kind of see how protruding the front teeth are, and just how prominent they are. And then when you get further and further back, just how they kind of flatten out with the jaw. So right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 teeth. In a single row of teeth, there's kind of this conveyor belt of 6. This is a different view. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like that's 5 teeth kind of tucked in. So, but overall, really cool. And you can see how this compares to Chaenogaleus macrostoma. So this is a different kind of weasel shark. This different weasel shark's teeth are much smaller versus the Hooktooth Shark. The Hooktooth Shark has pretty large teeth by comparison. And then Paragaleus is another kind of weasel shark. Also has smaller teeth as well. So the Hooktooth Shark proportionally has actually pretty big teeth compared to the other species. So let me go backwards here just to learn more about the study. Overall, it's actually really cool to see. There's a couple different sharks that we have here. This is the smooth hammerhead, Snaggletooth. These teeth are actually a little bit more conserved, which is kind of fun to see. I know there was a couple sharks at the top here. This is a black tip reef shark, Carcharodontis melanopterus. This is a dusky shark, Carcharodontis obscurus. Dusky sharks actually have huge teeth, so these are sharks you don't want to mess with. Carcharodontis signatus, that is the night shark, right here. Gallisudokuya, the tiger shark. This is actually kind of cool to see. It's kind of fun to see a cross section of like the heart-shaped teeth. So, they're kind of more compressed in shape, but very deadly. Primus glauca, the blue shark, and then Rhizopterodon acutus. I think that one is the milk shark. Let's see who else is here. This is a pretty interesting study. Hemipristis. Here is Hemipristis elongata by comparison. And that is a pretty wild cross-section of the jaw, actually. You can see this weird indentation towards the back. So you have things like really, it's such a diverse array. We have these large serrated teeth in the front, and then kind of like compressed teeth in the back. So pretty interesting stuff. Alright, this is also Hemipristis elongata. So this is kind of showing, this is a cousin of the Hooktooth Shark, and it's kind of showing how diverse the teeth are. Very, very different shapes as you go further down the rows. Also want to catch up on the comments. Yes, Howard, Piscivorous dentition. Excellent diagram, definitely agree. Hemis have an incomplete edge on their lower cusp, whereas sand tigers have no edge. Oh, good point, good point. So, okay. Let's see if we can get Chaenogaleus, because I think this is talking about mineralization, which I'm not as familiar with. Oh, this is cool. I don't think there's any teeth here, but this is actually pretty interesting. Okay, so this is a cross section of the bull shark, A, B, and C. I think Hemipristocera is the Snaggletooth Shark. So that's the fossil species D, E, and F. And then Iceratoxyrhynchus is the short fin mako, G, H, and I. So it's kind of cool to compare these guys. So this is a cross section of the tooth. And I'm not as... Oh, okay. So this white line through figure A is actually shown in the cross section in figure B. But I'm not as familiar with this process, so still really, really cool study. Very interesting diagram. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I think we'll kind of continue through learning more about... Oh, thank you. I just saw the audio comment. Look at the wear on the lowers. Yeah, on the hemipristous teeth. This is about tooth histology, which is important with fossil teeth. Interesting. What's kind of cool about fossil teeth, as with all fossils, let me go back to that. Because the top tooth, this bull shark tooth, and then the bottom tooth, this mako tooth, these are modern teeth. But this middle one, the hemipristous tooth, the snaggletooth shark tooth, is a fossil tooth. And what is kind of cool is how, for sharks, modern sharks, their teeth are made out of keratin, but as they fossilize, the molecules of the keratin kind of trade with rock. So, as they become fossilized, they actually slowly turn into an actual kind of rock, this like mineralization process. So it's actually extremely cool. So, yeah. So that's a really good point. Whoops. Let me make sure. Here we go. Didn't want to lose my place here. Okay. So we'll go over some more general notes on the Hooktooth Shark, and then we'll see some research that we can learn about the species. So here we go. So Chaenogaleus macrostoma, the Hooktooth Shark. So one male. So this is research study figure 2. Okay, here we go. So this is the individual that they're referring to in the study. Again, it's a bit of a smaller species. Very large mouth proportional to the body size, and actually pretty interesting how deeply curved back it is compared to other kinds of sharks. It's actually pretty... I could see why... so the Latin name macrostomus means large mouth, and you can see kind of where that comes from just as far as how long that mouth is. So, but here we go. We'll just kind of skim through this. Small shark with long wedge-like snout, pointed as tip, and longer than mouth's width. Mouth is long and parabolic. Let's see. Teeth of upper jaw, triangle with angular notch on posterior lateral side. Sharp cusplets on lower half of them. So just as a visual again, it's this tooth type right here. So at the top. So really strong leading cusp, and then these pretty large cusplets for the upper teeth. Let's see. First dorsal fin larger than the second one. Upper edge of both are rounded. Compagno, who is one of the most important shark scientists in the world, the author of really like the beginning of what would become sharks of the world, distinguished Hemigelidae from Carcharodontidae by the presence of spiral valve in the former and scroll valve in the latter. So what he's referring to here is there's a really cool feature that I think all sharks have this. I'm pretty sure all sharks have this, but it's a kind of their digestive system has these how do I describe it? It's kind of like these internal folds that are really numerous, and if you like lay them out flat, they would cover an enormous surface area. But if you compress them and kind of fold them together, they create these like this kind of like spiral. It's hard to describe. Actually, let me see if I can get a visual of it. Oh, sorry. Let's see. Because we have the magic of technology. Okay. We'll take this one. This is probably a really good diagram of this. Now, this looks like kind of a, you know, gross looking feature, but it's actually really incredible. So this is part of a shark's intestine, the spiral valve or the scroll valve. And you can see all of these like little layers, these like sheets, if you will, these folds inside the intestine. What these do is maximize the surface area of the shark's intestine like enormously. And what happens is that the shark, as it eats its prey items and digests them, it maximizes all the nutrients. Like it takes so much time for something to go through a shark's digestive system, and along the way in that process, the shark is like the actual like internal machinery of the shark, if you will, is taking all the nutrients and maximizing them. So it's not just like passing through the shark. Everything is like basically absorbed. Which I think is an extremely cool feature. It's something I really do love about sharks, is that they're the top predators of the ocean, not just in terms of like, the obvious, like the teeth, the speed, the senses, but it's also the fact that they really like maximize what they're getting. Like they really, it's kind of like leave no food, like leave nothing wasted, like leave no trace of like your prey item, like just it's really cool. It's kind of like this like ultimate absorption of nutrients, like this ultimate consumption of something. This feature, even though it's not very obvious, it's not very like apparent like the teeth, it's one of like the big things that makes sharks such powerful and like efficient, incredible hunters. It's unbelievable that they have this kind of adaptation. So it's a really cool feature. I'm really glad that paper is kind of noting that the spiral valve versus the scroll valve, because it's just for sharks in general, it's just a really cool thing. So yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, but let's see. Just catching up on comments, Howard. Fossil teeth are generally orthodont or osteodont. Interesting, Hemiprisus serra are orthodont, while Hemiprisus elongant or osteodont, or vice versa. Interesting. What's the difference between orthodont and osteodont? I'm actually really curious about that. Coprolites can often be assigned to spiral or scroll valve. Interesting. So coprolites, I think that's fossilized fecal matter, if I'm not mistaken, and that's a really important fossil because it can be informative for diet for ancient animals. So it's super cool. But let's see. So apparently the Hemigelidae, the weasel sharks, have a spiral valve, and the Carcharodontidae, like the big requiem sharks, have a scroll valve. So different methods of digestion. So interesting way to classify the two different species. So. 3 species belong to 3 genera of Hemigelidae are found in the Arabian Gulf. Chaenogaleus is distinguished from other genera in the family by having obtusely wedge-shaped snout in dorsal ventral view. Let's see. Okay, so Chaenogaleus, so the Hooktooth Shark, has a wedge-shaped snout. Hemiprisus is blunt, rounded snout, and then Chaenogaleus is a narrow snout. Got you. Chaenogaleus have let's see. smooth hook-like teeth. Hemiprisus in the lower jaw. Hemiprisus don't have that. Let's see. And again, the Hooktooth Shark is kind of small, so maximum length recorded 100 centimeters. So to put that in perspective, 39 inches. Okay. Or let's see if we could do that in feet. About 3 feet. I guess that's not too small. So 3 feet. So smallish shark, but that's not too small. So. Okay. I think that's all we have on this species for this account. So we'll take a look at sharkreferences.com to see if we can learn more about the Hooktooth Shark. This is actually really cool. This illustration is from the original description from 1878. That really puts it into perspective. So I love old shark illustrations like this. So, but you definitely have the large mouth, like proportionally the very, very large mouth. The teeth look a little different. These might be 2 lower teeth because as we saw earlier, the Hooktooth Shark actually has these like very distinct multicuspid teeth, and this single cuspid teeth is not really matching the modern description. So we'll take a look. So here is an image of a recently landed Hooktooth Shark. It actually looks like it's probably been dead for a little bit of time. The coloration is kind of faded. We saw some really cool colors. Let's see if we can find those photos again. Here we go. So you can see in a living Hooktooth Shark, Chaenogaleus has this really cool black dorsal fin, a black stripe on the pectoral fin, and then a black stripe on the lower caudal fin. So, okay. This is also known as Pal-sorrah shark. Let's see. I wonder who that is in reference to. I'm not familiar with Pal-sorrah as like a shark scientist or ichthyologist, so it could be something different. So, okay, nose is a bit pointy. Yep. Thank you, Howard. That's a good point for the species. Let's see. Minor commercial importance. It's not marketed, so that's good. It's not really of interest of fisheries. It's viviparous with a yolk sac placenta, so it gives live birth, which is pretty cool. 4 young in a litter. That's actually really small on shark side. So as far as shark reproduction goes, it's on the smaller side, so it's a little concerning. A common inshore and offshore shark found on the continental and insular shelves, probably feeds on small fishes, cephalopods, and crustaceans. Habitat: demersal, which means bottom dwelling. Marine, well, obviously. Depth range up to 59 meters, so this is a shallow water shark. If the minimum depth is 59 meters, it's well within the sunlight zone. So, and then here's some more images of the species, so we'll kind of take a look here. So that's like kind of the classic illustration that we saw. Again, that really cool tooth type here. Okay. Same photo of that individual. Here's a close-up on the head. So again, you have these like very large eyes, which is pretty interesting. It's a shallow water shark, but very large eyes. So I'm kind of curious what that may relate to. And also, again, proportionally very large gills, which is also kind of interesting. You can see the teeth, kind of more of that protruding appearance. Pretty prominent ampullae lorenzini here on the cheeks. And then here's a view of the shark dorsally. You can see a little bit of the dark, like the black tip on the second dorsal fin, but it's very faded. This individual may have been deceased for some time. Let me X out of that. So let's check out what Fishbase has to say, and then we'll finally get to the conservation status, because I'm actually very curious about what's going on with the species. By the way, I wonder if I can pull this up. This is totally random, but I found a really cool app. iBoating. Nautical charts. This one, I think. I do want to share this. Okay, so for no particular reason whatsoever, I swear, I wanted to change my map application. You know, because I want things to be correctly named. And this is a really cool thing that I stumbled across because I really like nautical charts. And let's see. This is called iBoating, and I'll put this in the I will put this in the chat. But iBoating, which you can see here, it has like nautical charts, but you can actually set up these really cool layers where you can see the seafloor. The app shows you the seafloor. I wonder if I can get that on here too. Okay. But it also it shows you like, you know, buoy information, light information, and what's kind of cool is that you have bottom type, and that was something that really attracted me to it. So, for example, in the Gulf of Mexico, you have sand and shells, sand, coral, and shells, depending on where you are. So it's actually really cool as a tool to use, and for anybody who's interested in boating or even just reading these charts, I just thought this was an awesome app. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it in the chat. Here we go. So, oh, Howard, that's a really good comment, by the way. So referring to the Hooktooth Shark, if it's common, why so little footage? That's a really good question, because we really didn't see anything. When I was kind of exploring YouTube, this was it. This was the only thing I can get, and these are it's just a replay of you know, photos for the Hooktooth Shark. So I'm not really sure you know, kind of what's going on with that, but that is a really good question. I will say I feel like depending on where you are in the world, you know, there's some species that should have more video coverage because of their habitat, but maybe the location is just like, it's not a location that really like gets a lot of foot traffic or maybe human traffic, and so like it just doesn't really get a lot of like attention. So that could be it, but you know, as far as like a species that is relatively common, but you know, it's just not really getting a lot. Whereas people who may, you know, like more readily, you know, put something on camera or film something, they might be, you know, they might be more like occupying other parts of the world more often than maybe parts of the world where the shark is visiting. Potentially, I'm not 100% sure, but it's just kind of like a guess. So, because that's a really good question. If it's so common, why isn't it filmed? So, you know. But here we go. Chaenogaleus macrostoma, the Hooktooth Shark from FishBase. So we'll kind of take a look at this. Okay, a small shark or dogfish per Aristotle. We actually did go through the Latin name already. The Latin name refers to its mouth, which is greatly arched. Lives in the Indo-Pacific, Persian Gulf, Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka, Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam, China, Taiwan, Java, and Sulawesi in Indonesia. I apologize if I'm not saying that correctly. The same has been used indiscriminately for the 3 species of hemigalids in Indo-Pakistani waters other than Hemiprisus elongatus. Interesting. So there's a couple sharks that have been called Chaenogaleus macrostoma, but they're not the same species. Interesting. A common inshore and offshore shark found on the continental and insular shelves. Probably feeds on small fishes, cephalopods, or crustaceans. Viviparous, so live-bearing, caught irregularly by inshore gillnet fisheries, and occasionally by small-scale lawn lining. Probably taken by artisanal fisheries wherever it occurs, utilized fresh for human consumption, and byproducts processed into fish meal. So, alright. Finally, we'll check out IUCN Red List. Oh, Howard, probably dives deep. There we go. Oh, cool. And great point. Hemiprincess Sarah is known from there, so the fossil Snaggletooth Shark is known from that area. That's really cool. So here we go. The Hooktooth Shark, Chaenogaleus macrostoma, is vulnerable. So here is the range. Okay, so definitely in the Pacific, more concentrated in Indian Ocean. Actually, I might not be saying that. I guess this is technically the Pacific, so but it's more concentrated in Indian Ocean, which is pretty interesting. So, assessment information detail. Here we go. The Hooktooth Shark, Chaenogaleus macrostoma, is a small weasel shark with a patchy distribution across the Indo-West Pacific and eastern and western Indian Oceans, ranging from the Arabian Sea to the South China Sea. It is demersal on the continental and insular shelf from inshore to a depth of 160 meters, so that's a bit deeper than we've been describing, though it is usually shallower to a 60-meter depth, across the Southeast Asian parts of its range. The species is taken as bycatch in a range of artisanal and industrial fishing gear, including trawl, gillnet, and handline, and is retained for its meat and fins for human consumption, and for fish meal. There are no species-specific time series, however, landings data of all whaler sharks and hound sharks combined from the large marine large marine ecosystems or ecosystems across its range infer a decline of 39% over the past 3 generation lengths, 24 years. So, to kind of break that down, large marine ecosystems, it's kind of the same as marine ecoregions. I think they're actually a little bit bigger. But these are very helpful units. If you had to split the ocean up into like areas that have kind of like a unifying biology or unifying, set of features, like a coral, like an area that has like a lot of, like for example, like the Great Barrier Reef would probably be its own ecosystem, its large marine ecosystem, because it's like this huge coral complex, and there's such a large area that's covered by a pretty unique set of habitats. So for context, this is a great unit to kind of like assess, like to make a conservation assessment of a shark or a lot of animals. This is a great unit to use, kind of a spatial unit. So. This level of decline is not species specific, but is informative for understanding the broader levels of decline in sharks in the region. The Hooktooth Shark is caught in limited numbers across its range, and it is unknown if this is a reflection of naturally limited abundance or due to fishing pressure. Fishing pressure is high across the spatial range of the Hooktooth Shark, although the species may have some refuge from intense inshore fishing pressure where it occurs to the deeper depth range. It appears to have a moderately short generation length of 8 years, which may provide some resilience to fishing pressure. It is suspected the Hooktooth Shark has undergone a population reduction of 30 to 49% over the last 3 generation lengths, 24 years, due to levels of exploitation, and is assessed as vulnerable. So. Oh, hey Bruce, welcome back. Yes, good point. Shark species being named the same thing. Surprises doesn't happen more often with so many species named without knowledge of other shark species and older naming conventions. That's a really great point. Howard, I have fossil teeth presented to me as Hemiprincess elongata that were collected from Indonesia. Interesting. So, it is kind of amazing, and honestly, it's kind of fascinating seeing how names change so rapidly, even for modern sharks. In the 70s, I think they called Carcharodontis plumbeus, the sandbar shark, something different. I think it was Carcharodontis nardo, if I'm remembering that correctly. And then right now, I mean, we've talked about this before, but tiger sharks are in their own family. So tiger sharks used to be Carcharodontidae, now they're Galeocertidae. Basking sharks, I think, always were their own family. Sand tiger sharks, yeah, actually, were recently described as their own family. So they used to be Odontaspididae, now they're Carcharidae. And they actually used to be called Odontaspis taurus, but now they're Carcharius taurus, so as a way to distinguish them. So it gets so confusing. I actually was really... Tell me what you guys think, by the way. I had a very interesting... This is kind of like story time, but like... I had a very interesting reflection lately about like I have like a marine life album of animals that when I go out snorkeling or diving, I have like a personal album of sea creatures. And I have like one shark in this album. I do have a couple sharks in an older album, but for this album, I'm very intentional about how I name the sharks that I see. And it was interesting that there's three kinds of naming conventions I could adopt. I could either personally, just in my personal life, refer to it as the scientific name. So, like, for example, Sphaerna lewini. Actually, no, that's not a good example. Let's do Squalus acanthius. That's a better example. So I could just go about saying Squalus acanthius, and what's interesting is like that is a unifying name for a species of shark. But if I say that in my everyday, it's like, oh my gosh, I see a Squalus acanthius. It doesn't really resonate with me because my native language is English. I speak English. I derive meaning in English. English is kind of my symbology. So the next naming convention could be the piked dogfish. That's like the FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. It's kind of like the global name for the species, and that's the name in Sharks of the World, is piked dogfish. And I could say that, but I am from Virginia, state in the United States of America, and traditionally that species is called a spiny dogfish. So, and I have a lot of love for the Virginia Institute of Marine Science, and a lot of affinity for it's my home state. So, the local English name is spiny dogfish, right? So it was kind of interesting going back and forth about like what should I refer to the species, and where I landed on is I like the idea of the global English name, piked dogfish. Because that, I think, is a nice harmony of like English is a language that has a lot of meaning for me. Because like Latin, I love the language of Latin, but it doesn't resonate with me on that same level. So, I think pike dogfish is a good middle ground where it's like it's English in a language that I have meaning with, but it's also international, where it's like, as far as conservation goes, one of the biggest things is we want to make sure that sharks are kind of called the same thing, as far as like to kind of streamline conservation goals, especially since sharks themselves are international species. They cross boundaries because a lot of them are very migratory. And what's interesting is like, as far as languages go, English is one of the 6 United Nations languages. As far as like, the United Nations, I don't know, the chat may know this already, but just in case, the United Nations has 6 official languages for documentation. If I remember correctly, it's English, Spanish, French, Chinese, Arabic, and Russian, I want to say. I think those are the 6. So, but yeah, that's kind of where I landed on. But I'm very curious, what do you guys think about like when you approach a shark? What names resonate with you? Like, what names do you adopt? Do you like the scientific name, which is the international, like global, like no debate, this is what it is? The FAO name, like the general name in your respective language, that kind of like is broad reaching but also kind of more regional, or like the local name. Another good example is like the gray nurse shark, which is the sand tiger shark, which is Carcharis taurus. So it's sand tiger shark. It's sand tiger shark in the United States, and I think sand tiger is the global name, but gray nurse shark is the Australian name. So it's kind of cool. It's an interesting question to think about. I was kind of mulling on it recently. So let me know what you guys think in the chat. Yes. Sorry, Howard, I just saw your comment. Odontaspis. Yes. The sand tiger shark Carcharis taurus used to be called Odontaspis taurus. So, which is really cool. It means it literally translates to serpent's tooth because the teeth are so like spiky and needly. So kind of like snake fangs. It's really cool. And we actually do have 2 we have 2 Odontaspis species. We have the big eye sand tiger, Odontaspis naranji, and then the small tooth sand tiger, Odontaspis ferox. So we still have 2 Odontaspis sharks, but Carcharis has been recently reclassified. So, Howard, I'm a fossil guy. We use Latin names. Awesome. But depending on the audience, I will adjust accordingly. Latin names are the most precise. So love that, respect that. That's a really good methodology. So much respect for that. So, Yeah, and for everybody else in chat, let me know what you guys think too. Like, I'll put mine. For me, um, I use FAO English and Latin as a clarifier. Sorry, I like writing in the chat sometimes. Like, just depending, like, not just sharing links, but it's kind of fun to make comments too. So for me, and actually when I watch these videos back on YouTube sometimes, it is kind of fun to see the dialogue. So for me, I use FAO English as common parlance and then Latin as a clarifier. I misspelled that as a clarifying a clarifying term. Okay, I don't know if I spelled that correctly. But yeah, let me know, anybody else in chat, let me know what you think too in the comments. And there's no wrong answer. I think all of them have like their own merit because like the Latin is the most accurate and it is global, which is really cool. The FAO name, for me, it's like meaningful but also broad-reaching, and then the local name is like embracing your local culture. So it's just like no wrong answer. I'm very curious to hear people's opinions on it. So but it was something I was kind of, I'm very like when it comes to sharks, I'm very like passionate and kind of nerdy about it. So as far as I spent a lot of time thinking about stuff like this. So it was just an interesting brain teaser, if you will. So we'll get into some research for Chaenogaleus macrostoma. And I'll keep checking the comments too. But so for the Hooktooth Shark, here we go. So this is an older piece. I think it's going to be mostly the description, but let's see if there's anything new that we can find. Okay, mostly are at cusps that prominently protrude when the mouth is closed. So the teeth are protruding when the mouth is closed. It's pretty interesting. Gives live birth, 4 pups, eats small fish and invertebrates. Caught in drift and bottom gill nets on log lines, fish and offal are useful. Interesting. So not a lot of information, but something. So another note here. Does it have any notes on this? Oh, here we go. Okay. Chaenogaleus macrostoma. So this is interesting. The English name is the Hooktooth Shark, but the common name is the ground shark, which is really bad, actually. Because so the entire order Carcharodontiformes doesn't have a good name. I don't even know what to name it. If I had the power to name it, I don't really know what I would say, because they're all so different. Like you have the cat sharks, the hammerheads, the weasel sharks, the smoothhounds. They're all so different. So Carcharodontiformes as a whole are sometimes referred to as ground sharks, which is kind of dumb. It doesn't make any sense. I don't even know what that means. They're not all demersal. They're not above the seabed. They have nothing to do with the ground. I don't really know why it's called that. So but yeah. So ground shark is a really terrible common name. Hooktooth shark is a really awesome common name for this species. But let's see. Not much new. It says it's rare in catch, so maybe it's not as common as some accounts are saying. So regional seasonal abundance, it's saying here that the catch is rare. Feeds on small fishes, cephalopods, or crustaceans. Same thing, gives birth to live young, 4 pups, which is very small. Peak breeding season, see Appendix 1. Okay. Shell membranes enclosing the embryo degenerate and most probably to supply additional nutrients to the embryo. Okay. Meat utilized in fresh condition. Okay. So let's see. Peak breeding season. I'm kind of curious about this. Appendix 1. I wonder if I can calmly turn all of this without breaking the bandwidth. I may not be able to. Oh, okay. I think I can. Oh, almost there. I literally had it. Hold on. Okay. Okay, there we go. So let's see if we can find Chaenogaleus there it is. Okay. Okay, so this is India. So this is a report on India because Chennai is a region in India. Fun fact: it's the region where the largest bull shark in the world has been caught. Is the Chennai bull shark. So I think it was like 350 kilograms. It was huge. So, but it's rare, apparently. Peak breeding season is in February, March, and then November and February. So kind of. I'm not exactly sure what the seasons are in that region, only because I believe that's tropical, so that's kind of more like wet and dry season as opposed to like the classic like temperate 4 seasons. So, but February, March, November, February is breeding season for the species. So, interesting. So, all right, keep reading. This is kind of a cool, and I'll put this in a chat too, because I know we have some newer viewers who may not have seen this yet. So, but this is extremely cool. So this is from 2015, but this is a phylogeny of, it's, I believe, I think it's an exclusive genetic phylogeny, but they did this really cool study comparing genetic phylogenies of different shark species, and you can see how sharks have like branched off and diverged, and you can see the relationships between sharks. So there's a lot here. This is not exhaustive. These are not all the shark species in the world. This is actually only about 200. Yeah, 236. So that's not even half of the sharks in the world. But a lot of major groups are represented pretty well. So it's kind of a cool thing to take a look at. So for our species, Chaenogaleus is right here. If you can see that. There it is. So Chaenogaleus macrostoma, or macrostomus, the Hooktooth Shark, is a branch off of Hemigaleus, so a different kind of weasel shark. And those in turn are branches off of Paragaleus. And I don't think this is going to mention Hemipristis, so the Snaggletooth Shark. So no real surprises here. This is just basically saying that the weasel sharks are kind of an offshoot of the other kinds of ground sharks, so like the smoothhounds, the milk sharks, the requiem sharks, and I think the hammerheads too. Nope, I think I got that wrong. Never mind, not the hammerheads. Where are the hammerheads? Hold on, where are they? Oh, there they are. Okay, so it is the hammerheads. Sorry, I just saw Sphyrina right here. So weasel sharks. So the family of the Hooktooth Shark, weasel sharks, Hemigaliidae, is a sister group to a group of sharks that includes the hammerheads, smoothhounds, milk sharks, and ground sharks like the or not ground sharks, requiem sharks like bull sharks and sandbar sharks. So Howard, Sphyrina, yes, thank you, Sphyrina. I missed it. And there's also Eusphyra. These are the winghead shark is also here, which is kind of cool. So this is a really cool guide overall. But for if you want to explore more in detail, the link I put the link in the chat because I think it's pretty fun. So good. Let's go back to Chaenogaleus. This is just a little summary. The shark is a vulnerable. The Hooktooth Shark is a vulnerable species. Marine demersal, East Coast, West Coast, gill nets, and long lines. So not a lot of new information on it. Here's a little bit more. This is actually kind of cool. This I think is an FAO guide. And this is actually kind of cool diagram of the teeth. You can see right here this really awesome, very long cusp, but then these pretty prominent cusplets. So the Hooktooth Shark is actually really, you can really see how beautifully named it is. The tooth is like in this really extreme looking hook shape. The upper tooth is an extreme looking hook shape with these broad serrations at the midpoint. So let's zoom in so you can get a better view of that. So that's actually really cool that the Hooktooth Shark has that very long upper cusp or main cusp, and then these pretty prominent cusplets. So FAO names. So Food and Agriculture official English name is Hooktooth Shark. French, I'm not going to say this right, but Melandre harpon. I don't know if that's correct. There's some local names. The Lone. So what region is this? This is. I'll go back to this in a little bit. Marine resources of Pakistan. So this is sharks that you can find in Pakistan. So local name is the Lone. Gotcha. And this is kind of interesting too. In this description, it says that the color is light gray to bronze color with no prominent markings. But we did see this Hooktooth Shark here actually has these like really prominent dark blotches. This looks like a younger individual, so I wonder if these might be juvenile colors. There are some sharks that have black as like a juvenile color for like the pups have black spots or black tips. So bull sharks actually do have that. Dusky smoothhounds also have that. So I'm kind of curious if that is a juvenile trait. Let's see. Okay. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is another cool X-ray study. I don't know if this is actually going to show. I think I've seen this study before, and it has a lot of different sharks in it, so we might save this for later just in case. Well, actually, let's see if we can find it. Because I want to see. This study, I think, has a viewer where you can see the 3D skeleton. So this is this one is an angel shark right here, but I think there's a way to see the. Yeah, there we go. We have seen this before, but I think there is a way to see the skeleton of, or the jaw of the Hooktooth Shark. Let's see. Okay, CD can be loaded into blah. I thought we were able to pull this up before. Let me just. I will click on this link really quickly. Because I think we were able to see 3D shark jaws before, but I don't have like I don't really want to download software to visualize 3D jaws. And this is a little bit of an older article too, but I thought there was a way to look at it where you can actually like view it, like an online viewer. So if I find it, I'll be able to show it, but I don't know if I'll be able to find it actually, sadly. So yeah, so we'll put a pin in that because there are some other really cool articles regarding the Hooktooth Shark that I don't want to miss. So we'll put a pin in that. Let's see. I think this is another kind of jaw analysis. Oh, this is actually, I'm sorry, this is the same study. So we can actually, where we saw the cross-section of the jaws. So let's actually see what this is about. So, tooth mineralization and histology patterns of an extinct and extant snaggletooth sharks, Hemipristis, evolutionary significance or ecological adaptation. This is by Patrick Jambura, Catherine Flath, Charlie Underwood, David Ward, and Jürgen Kriwet. So, shark jaws exhibit teeth that are arranged into distinct series and files and display great diversities in shapes and structures, which not only is related to their function, grasping, cutting, crushing during feeding, but also bear a strong phylogenetic signal. So far, most research on the relationships between shark teeth and feeding ecology and systematics focus on the external tooth morphology only. Although the tooth histology of sharks has been examined since the early 19th century, its functional and systematic implications are still ambiguous. Shark teeth normally consist of either a porous cellular dentine, osteodentine, in laminiform sharks and some batoids, or a dense layer of orthodentine known from different sharks. So this is really cool. Howard, you were referring to this earlier, so osteodentine versus orthodentine. Sharks of the order Carcharodontiformes, comprising 60% of all extant shark species, are known to have orthodont teeth, with a single exception, the Snaggletooth Shark, Hemipristis elongata. High-resolution micro-CT images of jaws and teeth from selected Carcharodontiform sharks, including extant and fossil Snaggletooth sharks, and two sections from teeth from Hemipristis, other Carcharodontiform sharks are revealed that 1. Hemipristis is indeed the only Carcharodontiform shark filling the cavity with osteodentine in addition to orthodentine. That's actually really cool. I did not. I know you mentioned Howard, but it's starting to hit me like how really unique that is, and how kind of wild that is. That out of what is it? Like 200 Carcharodontiform sharks, Hemipristis is the only one that has this feature. That's actually really fascinating. 2. The tooth histology of Hemipristis elongata differs from the osteodont histotype, which evolved in laminiform sharks and conversely represents a modified orthodonty. And 3. This modified orthodonty was already present in extinct Hemipristis species, but the mineralization sequence has changed over time. Our results clearly show the presence of a third tooth histotype, the pseudosteodont histotype, which is present in Hemipristis. The unique tooth histology of laminiform sharks might provide a phylogenetic signal for this group, but more research is necessary to understand the phylogenetic importance of tooth histology in sharks in general. So I think, long story short, as far as like the meaning of this kind of article, is the fact that Hemipristis, the Snaggletooth Shark, is unique. And I think of it kind of like hammerhead sharks, where hammerhead sharks, have the unique head shape. Hemipristis have a very unique tooth type, and it's kind of cool to think about how distinguishing is this? Like, how much of a evolutionary leap is this from other kinds of sharks? So I do want to fast forward the discussion because this is actually pretty interesting. So we won't go through all... Oh! Okay. So this is actually really cool. This is Hemipristis elongata, so this is the modern relative of the Snaggletooth Shark. If I remember correctly, and I know, Howard, you love this group, so correct me if I'm wrong, I think the modern name for this is a fossil shark. Is that, which is ironic, is that correct? I'm going to check my copy of Sharks of the World, just to make sure I got that right. Because I think it varies. I think some people do call this the fossil shark, but I could be wrong about that. Triachus, Musculus, where is this? Oh, no, they just call it the Snaggletooth Shark. Okay, so so they do call it Snaggletooth Shark. So Hemipristis elongata is Snaggletooth Shark. So maybe I got that confused. Maybe they call Hemipristis sarah the fossil shark. So, gotcha. Right, but you can see, like, this is a really cool shot of Snaggletooth Shark teeth. And again, this is a cousin of our Hooktooth Shark. It's kind of cool to compare where you can see the differences, particularly in the upper teeth. The Snaggletooth Shark has these, like, really great, solid, very large serrations. And the Hooktooth Shark has kind of like this one large cusp with the large cusplets. So. Okay. I want to get back to the discussion. Oh, sorry. Hold on. Oh, cool. Howard has spoken with David Ward. That's super cool. Oh, can I find the study? Yes. Let me go ahead and put this in the chat. There you go. Oh, hey, Bibia. Cool picture of a shark mouth. Snaggletooth equals great name for a Motorhead song. Yes, yes. That is so cool. And Howard, thank you for clarifying. Some people do call it the fossil shark. Okay, so just want to double check that. So, super cool. Whoop. Let me get out of here. Sorry about that. Howard, yes, love Motorhead. They did Ace of Spades, right? Which is a killer song, but I just want to make sure. Yeah, they did Ace of Spades. They are the Ace of Spades. So, but yeah, I'm a big hard rock, heavy metal fan myself. So, mad respect. Let's see. I'm gonna move forward to the discussion for this. I don't know about you guys. I've been listening to a lot of Iron Maiden lately, which definitely one of my favorites. And then been like I tend to like a lot of like a little bit of symphonic metal, a little bit of new metal. So I know that's not Iron Maiden per se. That's kind of more like there's a lot of really cool European groups. I particularly like Epica or Within Temptation. I think they're really cool. There's one more, Ginger. Ginger is an awesome group that I really like too. So just random comments on metal, but it's really good. Let's see. I'm just going to skim through this. I won't read the whole thing, but I am curious about what some of the theories are about why Snaggletooth sharks have this unique form of dentition. Let's see. Yeah, this is kind of getting into the mechanics of it, but I really want to know, like, what can we draw from this? Okay, convergent evolution. Okay. Okay, so this is really cool. So if I'm reading that correctly, the Snaggletooth shark's teeth, on principle, kind of resemble like landiform shark teeth. So these are and those are complete different sharks, and it's confirming that even though on principle they're kind of like similar tooth types as far as like the mineralization of them, they evolved very differently, and it's kind of like how birds and bats both fly, but their mechanics of flight are very different. So they both have on principle the same thing, but they're just two very different animals. So that's actually really cool. Okay, conclusions. So in the study we demonstrate the osteodont histotype found in the teeth of the Snaggletooth shark differs from the osteodont type occurring in landiform sharks with regards to vascularization. Okay, so it's really more like the mechanics of how these teeth form. But it is actually really cool. Again, like I think the big summary of the study is the fact that Snaggletooth sharks, Hemipristis, are very unique in their teeth, and it's actually really cool that at a mineral level, like at a base level, the teeth have a very different formation and way of developing than other carcharangiform sharks because the teeth themselves are so distinct looking. They're just very unique looking. So that's actually really cool. So, Just double checking. Comments. Oh, run to the hills. Yeah. Yeah. Aren't many sharks snaggletooth? Not much. Stay tuned. Yes, but this. Oh, sorry, Bibby. Yes, I'm so sorry. So yeah, snaggletooth shark. When I say snaggletooth shark, I mean the species Hemipristis or Hemipristis elongata. So it's a specific kind of shark species. But so to clarify, it's snaggletooth shark is Hemipristis elongata. But you're correct as far as like sharks with teeth, like just different teeth. A lot of sharks have like the hook snaggly looking teeth. But snaggletooth shark is just an English name for a specific species. So, but yeah, Howard, definitely agree. There's something there, but more study is required. So it's really cool that, and we'll have to keep an eye out for these kinds of sharks. Where I'm curious how classification will continue or taxonomy will continue if we see any more things that kind of make this group a little bit more unique than other carcharodontiforms. It's pretty interesting stuff. So. Let's see. This is very interesting. I'm going to accept all the cookies on this website. I don't know if you can see that on the bottom, but here we go. So these are two different species of shark in this photograph. So the Hooktooth Shark, Chaenogaleus macrostoma, which is the top one, and the slender weasel shark, Paragaleus rendali, are remarkably similar in appearance. So these are really hard to tell apart, but I can see one thing that's kind of helping, and this is on the photographs on the left. Can you guys see a difference for the photographs on the left? And I wonder if there's a way I can make this a little bit. There we go. That's kind of helping. Okay, differences in, and this is not what I'm talking about, but differences in relative size of the gill slits and the shape of the snout allow the species to be separated, but considerable familiarity of both species is required in order for routine identification of either to be made in the field. And to be mindful of time, I'll spoil it in a little bit. But it's kind of amazing. Like looking at I will say, looking at the body, the bodies here, that's extremely hard to tell apart. I will say these two sharks are very hard to tell apart in the field. On the left, the snouts. There's something about the snouts or the heads here. There's something about them that does look pretty different. Let me know if you guys see it. And I'll give a couple more minutes. Also, if you have a shark for next week. Oh, Howard, nose point. That actually is that's a good answer. Cause yeah, I think you can use that. That wasn't necessarily what I was saying, but that is a really good answer because you can see that the Hooktooth Shark on the top has a rounded snout, but the slender weasel shark has more of a pointed snout. So that I think yeah, I'm gonna star that because I definitely agree. Let's see. Oh, baby, why weasel? I get the rest. So yeah, I think so. Weasel shark is a common name for these sharks because they have very long, slender bodies. So when I think when scientists were first naming these kinds of sharks, they reminded them of weasels, like the with just the slender build. So, so that's where that kind of comes from. It's not a really good common name, to be honest, because there's a lot of sharks with long, slender bodies, like hound sharks, cat sharks, dogfish even. There's so many. Carpet sharks, I mean, there's so many that have long, slender bodies, so it's not really the best thing. But I think that's where it came from, though. It's just like these are some of the first sharks that, or maybe not some of the first sharks, but these were sharks that when scientists were first naming them, kind of had the long, slender bodies. As far as the identification for the head, the thing that I was noticing, and again, Howard, I think you were absolutely right about the snout, 100%. But the thing that I was also noticing is the mouth. So you know how we've been saying that the Hooktooth Shark has a very like the name Chaenogaleus macrostoma. Macrostoma means big mouth. You can actually kind of see that in these photographs where you can just see how deeply the mouth curves and how large it is compared to the slender weasel shark's mouth. The slender weasel shark kind of has a smaller mouth, and it's almost a little bit like a hound shark at first glance. But the Hooktooth Shark has a much bigger mouth, and it has slightly more prominent teeth here too. So that is one way you could probably tell them apart. But to be honest, like the two images on the left, I can see a difference. The two images on the right, this is really difficult, and I honestly probably would not be able to tell these two apart in the field. Yeah, these are really difficult. Even just the positioning of the fins, it's kind of tricky. Like here, the pelvic fins are a little bit further back on this weasel shark, but still, that's just extremely hard to tell apart. So, and it emphasizes again, like we talked about, a challenge in conservation is that a lot of fishermen or observers may not be able to tell shark species apart. So this is why proper identification is really important, but it's a valid challenge. You know, it's very hard even for shark scientists to tell certain species apart because they can look just so similarly. So it's 10:30, so we can go ahead and if you guys have suggestions for a shark next week, please leave it in the chat, and I'll throw in some suggestions too because we've covered a lot of sharks already. In the meantime, I'll see if there's any more notes on the Hooktooth Shark. So. Let's see. Chaenogaleus macrostoma. Let's see. I think I have like summary notes. A lot of articles have kind of like, they're like checklists. So let's see. This one is pretty interesting. So, oh wow, where does this? Oh no! Wait a minute. Oh no! This is okay. This is okay. This is different. This is different. Okay, I thought this was a brand new shark. This is not a shark. We won't go into this, but parasitology is a very important field for fishes. It's actually probably a wide open field for shark scientists or marine scientists. But this is an article describing two new species of Scyphophilidium cystota. So these are marine worms from Chaenogaleus macrostoma. So the Hooktooth Shark is a host species for these parasitic worms. We won't go into this because I know we're almost kind of wrapping up for tonight, but I had a little jolt for a second because I thought this paper was talking about two new kinds of sharks that are reclassified, but no, it's two species of parasite that you can find in the Hooktooth Shark. So all sharks have parasites. It is a very open field and popular field for shark science, but we won't go into that. Just to kind of be mindful on time. So this is really cool. So these are CT scans. I'm glad that we can actually find something that touches base on this. So CT scans of jaws from different kinds of sharks, including our Hooktooth Shark, which is figure E. So we can actually take a really close look at this and take a look at how different sharks' jaws are shaped differently. And this is actually more about the jaw structure itself. So for the lower jaw, they call this Meckel's cartilage. So this really, oh, sorry, let me go back here. There we go. So this is a Hooktooth Shark right here. The lower jaw is Meckel's cartilage, so you can kind of tell that it has this like large kind of disc-looking shape here. The upper jaw is typically separate, and I mean, or it's always separate from the lower jaw. So in these CT scans, the point of this kind of article is comparing jaw shapes. So let's take a look at who's who in this lineup, because this is actually really fascinating. So the bottom one is Galeorhinus. So this is the taupe shark right here. So you can see actually a pretty robust upper jaw and lower jaw here. Figure H is Sphyrna corona. This is it's a hammerhead shark. I think it's one of the smaller ones. I'm trying to remember. I should know this off the top of my head. I think it's a small hammerhead. Corona. The scalloped bonnethead. Sorry, so this is a scalloped bonnethead. So kind of hammerhead shark. One of the smaller ones, and you can see that the jaws are a little bit smaller too. Figure G is the Atelomicturus maromatus. I think that is a cat shark. Who else we got? Figure F. This one is Laminasus. This is actually really cool. So this is the porbeagle. This is like a cousin of great whites. One thing that you can immediately tell is the jaw is quite a lot squatter, and actually a little bit stronger looking, like a little bit bigger looking. So it's kind of cool to see if you compare like the porbeagle shark with something like the scalloped bonnethead, which has kind of like more of a thin, smaller jaw. Porbeagles do handle larger prey items than these scalloped bonnethead sharks, so it's kind of cool to compare the jaw shapes. Who else we got? C and D. Let's see who these guys are. C is particularly interesting. So D is Prianus glauca, is a blue shark. C is Alopius vulpinus, the thresher shark. I was not expecting that. Look at this. So the thresher shark also has a pretty squat, really compact looking jaw, and it has this unique arch feature up here. That's actually really interesting. The blue shark, Prianus glauca, has a pretty large jaw, and actually you can actually see prominent teeth here too. I know this one on the top, A, Delatius lecca. This is the kitefin shark, which has a really scary looking jaw set actually. These are cousins of cookie cutter sharks, and you can see this like really squared off, like just scary lower jaw. Kind of a gross fun fact, kitefin sharks will shed their lower jaw teeth as like a comb, like this weird outer covering of this one layer of teeth, and they will swallow them. So kind of a creepy fun fact about this species. So figure B, I'm curious what this is. I think this is Chlamydiocelachus. Let's see. It's not. It's Orectolobus japonicus. So figure B is a woebegone. Oh, it is a woebegone. Okay, you can actually see that. And that's actually really cool. So let's see what we got. Let's compare shark jaws on a close level. It's actually a really cool study. And you can infer some things from the jaws. So you got the kitefin shark, figure A, which is a like a small deep water shark that can take big chunks of flesh out of prey items. The teeth on the lower jaw work as this like one singular saw kind of thing, and it's really creepy. The woebegone, the jaw works like a bear trap, and you can actually kind of see like how large the woebegone's jaw is relative to its head shape and its head size. Kitefin shark has kind of a pretty large chondrocranium here, but the woebegone it's kind of level with the immense jaws. So really nasty and very powerful bite for that species. This is a bottom-dwelling shark that likes to be lie in wait and be an ambush predator. So let's see. Peppered cat shark. All right, Howard. Yes, let me see. Let's see. Peppered cat shark. Oh, I love this discussion, guys. This is super cool. Great question, Bibia. What's the yellow part? So I think that's a great question. I think this is musculature. So the tan part is the actual cartilage, but I think the red, green, blue areas are jaw muscle. And this is actually really cool. I forget off the top of my head how this works, but sharks are split up into these two huge groups, these squalomorphs and nagaleomorphs. And part of what distinguishes these groups are the structure of the jaws. The rough way of saying is that the galeomorphs are kind of like the more advanced sharks. So these are kind of like the hammerheads, I think carpet sharks are galeomorphs. So let me make sure I got that right. Because squalomorphs. Squalomorph sharks. Here we go. Okay, so squalomorphs are the okay. Hexantriforms, I'm just double checking here. Hexantriforms, so the six-scale sharks and frilled sharks. Squatiniforms, the angel sharks. Squaliforms, the dogfish. Hecanorhiniforms, the bramble sharks. And Presidophoriforms, the saw sharks. So the squalomorphs are kind of more like the basal sharks, if you will. And it's something about the jaws and the musculature in the jaws. And actually, let me see if this is going to show it. It's not going to show it, is it? There's something about how the jaws... I have to get back... actually, let me see if I can find it here. Let me see if I'm checking Wikipedia. Suborbital shelves? Let's see. They don't have an anal fin. Squalomorphs don't have an anal fin. They don't have a nictitating membrane, and they don't have suborbital shelves in the cranium. But it's something about the jaws and the jaw structure that splits the squalomorphs from the galeomorphs, and I can't remember what it is. The galeomorphs are more like the modern sharks, so like the carcharodontiforms, the ground sharks, the landiforms, the mackerel sharks, the electolobiforms, the carpet sharks, and then heterodontiforms, the bullhead sharks. So, but there is a difference in the jaws between these two groups, and I can't remember what it is. So unfortunately, but long story short. Oh, I'm sorry, Bibia. I meant the dark yellow, but no worries. So, yes, the tan dark yellow area here is the actual jaw. So, and for sharks, the jaws are split up in these two major sections. You have Meckel's cartilage, which is like the lower jaw, and then the upper jaw. And what's kind of cool about all sharks is that the jaws are not fused to the skull. So, like humans and mammals, like their jaws are connected to the skull. Like our jaws are connected to our skulls. So, we don't have mobility with them really. Whereas sharks, they can launch their jaws forward because the jaws are not connected to the skulls, which is really cool. And Howard, yeah, great comment. The woebegone looks like wolf jaws. Also, sorry, Howard, let me go back to the pepper cat shark because I'm pretty sure that is wide open. I would love to do that species actually. So let's see, peppered cat shark. Let's see. Pepper cat shark is Galeus. Yep, Piperatus. That is wide open. Let's do it. So, peppered cat shark. Galeus Piperatus. Okay, awesome. Yep. So I'd definitely love to do study the species. So that will be next week's shark, the peppered cat shark. Awesome. Great suggestion, Howard. It's been a while since we've done a cat shark, and it's great because there's so many cat sharks. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun to do a new one. So, and chisel away at that enormous group of sharks. So that's going to be really cool. So great suggestion. Thank you, Howard. So, but yeah. So let's. I think we'll wrap up tonight comparing other jaws, and then we'll say farewell for the week. But this has been a really fun. I'm glad that I like it when the streams have different characteristics, like different like focuses, and this one has been a really cool one inadvertently on shark teeth and shark jaw. So this has been really fun to do for the Hooktooth Shark. So I'm glad that we're wrapping it up with this really cool comparison to shark jaws for tonight. So we got the kitefin shark, we got the woebegone. Let's take a look at the thresher shark, figure C, and the blue shark, figure D. Now, the thresher shark in particular is really interesting to me because it's odd, or not odd, but it's unique that the upper jaw and the lower jaw are almost equally sized. And I'm curious why that would be. Very strong looking jaws, but the thresher shark primarily hunts with its tail. So the thresher shark swims in a water column and stings prey items with its tail. So, and the mouth looks really small too. Sometimes, unfortunately, some YouTubers can sometimes make fun of the leopard shark, or sorry, the thresher sharks, because they look kind of cute. Like they have like a snub nose and big eyes, so they look kind of like adorable and nervous. And part of that appearance is like this jaw shape where the actual mouth looks a little bit smaller, but the jaws are quite deep. So it's kind of interesting to think about what the advantage of that would be if this is a species that's primarily like whipping its prey with its tail. So figure D is the blue shark. So you've got a really handsome looking jaw. Actually, it's very long. You can actually see quite large teeth. And blue sharks are open ocean migrators that are kind of opportunistic. They will scavenge like dead prey items. Sometimes even dead whales. They'll like tear chunks of flesh off of like a floating whale carcass. So the large serrated teeth definitely help with that. But it's kind of cool to see like how large this jaw is. So it may be a way to kind of maximize surface area as the shark bites, maximizing the amount of flesh it can take off of a prey item. So figure E is our Hooktooth Shark. So, and again, our Hooktooth Shark has a really large jaw as well, so it's kind of similar to the blue shark in that way. And figure F is the poor beagle. It's kind of cool to see the poor beagle almost has like a similar layout to the blue shark, but it's definitely much more compact and squat, which is kind of cool. The poor beagle is an active fish eater that is in cold temperate climates. It can raise its body temperature higher than the water surrounding it. It's a very voracious hunter. It's a cousin of mako sharks and white sharks, so it's kind of cool to see that. I find it fascinating that figure E with the Hooktooth Shark, you can kind of see the white teeth, in the CT scan, but they're not as prominent as like the poor beagle teeth, so it's pretty interesting. H is the scalloped bonnethead, so this is a cousin of the classic bonnethead shark. This is a small, and Howard mentioned it earlier that Sphaerotubero, the classic bonnethead, can digest eelgrass, which is kind of interesting. It also, it primarily eats crabs and fish, but it can eat eelgrass, and it's kind of interesting to think about for the scalloped bonnethead, if it can it does occupy similar habitat like mangrove forests, and I think its range does have seagrass beds, so but its dentition, its jaw shape, looks like it's adapted for small prey items that it might be able to kind of scoop up from the seabed. So it's pretty interesting. Figure G, I forget who this is, and we'll end on figure I. G is... who is that? A Chaenogaleus, so this is a cat shark. So that's actually a pretty long jaw set, and I'm kind of curious what the cat shark would use that for. Cat sharks are bottom-dwelling sharks, although I think a Chaenogaleus is it might be a midwater shark, so it could... I'm not really sure what the long jaws would be for this species. Let's look this up, actually. A Chaenogaleus shark. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the coral cat shark. Interesting. Well, let's see what the coral cat shark eats. This is one of my favorite species, actually. I think I got it confused with Aposteuris. It's a really pretty shark, by the way. Really beautiful species. Coral cat shark actively forages for small bottom-living invertebrates and bony fishes. Its slender form allows it to access tight spaces on a reef. Interesting. So it's a very small shark, but proportionally the jaws are actually quite large on the coral cat shark, so that's actually really cool. And then finally, figure I is Chaenogaleus, the taupe shark. So taupe sharks they're kind of occupying that similar niche to Snaggletooth sharks, where they're not quite as large or robust as like the Carcharidids, but they are larger and a little bit more imposing than the classic hound sharks. And it's kind of cool to see a jaw set that similarly looks kind of intermediate, where you have large teeth, pretty strong jaw features. Yeah. And I know Chaenogaleus is a fish eater as well, so, but yeah. Howard, yes. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Figure F. Let me go back to F. F and C. So F is the poor beagle. Oh, sorry. Let me go back up to it so you guys can see it. Okay, so F is the poor beagle shark. So again, this is a cousin to mako sharks and great whites. You got this pretty strong jaw right here. Kind of prominent rostral cartilage, so it's like snout cartilage. And then you can kind of see the eyes too. The eye socket is above the forward edge of the jaw. And very robust head. The vertebral column is like right at the midpoint of the head too, so really cool, powerful build. And then Howard was asking for figure C, which is the thresher shark, and I think it is Olopius vulpinus. So this is the classic thresher. So this is the one that's in the North Atlantic, and the first thresher shark to be described. And you can actually see it's kind of cool to compare it to the porbeagle shark, where similarly the eye is kind of in the interior part of the jaw. The rostral cartilage is much smaller. This specimen actually might be a little bit damaged because it's like these sharks do have a small snout, but I don't think it's like that cut off. And then the vertebral column is at the midpoint too. So yeah. Oh hey, yeah, Bibia666. Which website is it? It looks great. Yeah, let me go ahead and share that with you. And I think we'll end for tonight, but let me make sure this gets into the chat. There we go. Awesome. So yeah, one really cool thing that I really love is there is actually so much shark science that is publicly available and publicly accessible. So this paper is one of those pieces of knowledge that is available to all. So please feel free to peruse. Let me also take this moment to kind of shout out sharkreferences.com. Let me go back here. So sharkreferences.com has so much research. I mean, actually not so much. All the research. It has every piece of research on every shark available in the world documented. It does not have all of it available because some of it is either behind an academic paywall or some of it is like just so old that it's not really like available. Like someone in that research library's collection has to physically upload it and everything. So it will have the list of references. So if you ever want to do like a real deep research dive, you can compile every reference on any shark species, living or dead. It's a really cool website. But it does have a robust amount of information that is publicly available. And when we do our streams together, a lot of that information comes over onto the stream. As far as like this paper in particular is really cool because it's actually it's one of the shark references or one of the papers that I found through shark references. So it's a really cool resource. I highly recommend. So yeah. Oh, thank you, Bibia. I'm gonna start that. Thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely. Love talking about sharks with you guys. It's a really cool community, and again, really happy that you're able to join us. So thank you so much for being part of our group, and yeah. And thank you all for watching tonight's stream. This was really cool. I love streams, again, going in different directions that I'm not really anticipating. So the Hooktooth Shark kind of unlocked a lot of cool stuff about teeth and jaws, which I was really excited to explore. And it's really cool to compare the morphology of the different jaw sets. So yeah, really, really cool stuff, guys. But I think since it's almost 11 East Coast time, I am going to wrap up for tonight. But thank you guys so much for watching. It's been super fun talking about the Hooktooth Shark and shark morphology. And I hope you guys enjoy, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, spring is starting to kind of happen a little bit. So I'm starting to see some signs. And some sharks are actually coming back into the bay right now. So I'm really excited for that. I'm in the Chesapeake Bay region. And we have smoothhounds, like the bravest smoothhounds, the dusky smoothhound, the bravest of those are coming back because it's still probably a little too cold for them, but by the end of the month you might start seeing them. So I'm really excited. The seasons are changing over here, so I'm very excited for that. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all have a great rest of your week, and tune in next week for the pepper cat shark. We're going to go back to one of the largest groups of sharks with a brand new species I've never heard of, actually. So I'm really excited to do the pepper cat shark. But cheers, guys. Hope you have a good week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.